And we are live. And with me, I have Steve Talon. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
No problem. I've seen a few of your videos where you tested to see how long would it take for Steve Shives to block you.
Yeah, not very long. I did that trick with three different accounts. Two of the accounts were pretty new in age, and one was a lot older. And on the third account, I believe he never did block me, but he blocked me instantly on the other two.
That's because Steve Shives is not going to block you if you say nice, kind things to him. Like, if you say things like, you have a good channel, then Steve Shives is not going to block you.
There's been people that have never even communicated with him and didn't even know he existed, and they were blocked by him.
You would get blocked if you use the hashtag this week is stupid, and you would get blocked if you use certain hashtags. Like if you use the triggering hashtag, you'll get blocked. Well, not instantly because JJ Talks, she used the triggering, but she used it to make fun of anti-feminists. So if you use the triggering to make fun of anti-feminists, like, oh yeah, gender is a social construct, then yeah, then Steve Shives would be cool with you. But if you use the hashtag this week is stupid, you would get blocked whether you heard of Steve Shives or not.
And I believe also if you, I'm sure there's a lot of other hashtags he has on that auto block list. And also if you follow certain people like Sargon or the Amazing Atheist or Bearing or whoever, um, blocked automatically.
No, that's not true. I was followed by Sargon and Steve Shives at the same time. It's not true.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, because I was blocked by Sargon and Steve Shives for a long time. I was following both, and I was following the Amazing Atheists, and still not blocked. There are so many Steve Shives will block you if there's myths. There's all these myths on what would get you blocked by Steve Shives, but it's not true. Um, if you use certain hashtags like this week is stupid, or if you use the hashtag the triggering, but I mean there's more to it. JJ used the hashtag, but she never got blocked because she was making fun of anti-feminists. You would have to be using the triggering hashtag to make fun of anti-feminists. Or for me, I use hashtag, but I said something very neutral. Like my post was not for or against feminism. My triggering post was very, very neutral. But there are people who was like they used the triggering hashtag and they were making fun of feminism, and then they got blocked by Steve Shives. It's like, well, looks like I'm blocked by Steve Shives. I kept seeing him once, but that's because he stalks hashtags, and not only does he stalk certain hashtags, but he blocks people who use certain hashtags.
Yeah, no, he really has to grow up. I mean, just because someone uses this week in stupid hashtag or the trigger or whatever, um, doesn't inherently mean that they disagree with Steve Shives. I mean, he really needs to grow the fuck up.
Well, the JJ himself never got blocked by Steve Shives. He still, got her back, and she used the triggering hashtag, but she used it to make fun of anti-feminist. And when I used the triggering hashtag, I didn't get blocked. That didn't block me because my post on it was very neutral. It wasn't for or against feminism. My tweet said, well, looks like the triggering is very popular.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It is sad when he goes to the lengths to block people that he does.
Yeah,
Uh,
he does go to strange lengths just to block people, which is which is antithetical to what he told me. He told me that he tries to be happy, he tries to be positive, but he tries to keep his mind focused on positivity. But how positive could you possibly be if you just stalk a hashtag just to block people who use it? How positive could you actually be?
yeah, I mean, like it sounds like he's um, just from what you're saying there. It kind of sounds like he's taking the secret a little bit too far. But um, I don't know, man. Like um, it's uh, it's absurd. Um, and to some degree, I get where he's coming from with always wanting to try to be happy, and I understand that to a degree, but there's also the times where you have to sit back and look reality in the face.
Yeah, it's kind of like this. If you disagree with me, that's wouldn't make me feel upset enough to block you. Not that upset.
Yeah, I mean, the only people that I block are people who are obvious spammers, or but that's it. Like
Um,
you can tell pretty quickly if someone's just trying to sell you stuff, and I'm like, I'm just not interested in whatever kind of freaking crazy pyramid scheme you want to get me in. You're done. I'm not paying attention to you. But that's definitely a different issue.
I am more generous with the block button on Facebook than on any other websites. But that's because the men on Facebook acts differently than any other websites. Like there will be a bunch of men from Africa. It does seem to be that particular country because I look at where these men are from, and they always seem to be from Africa, and they always seem to give me the same message sequence. It would first be it would start out in the green, but it would go further and further into the red flag area. Like at first, it would be like hello, and I'm like, oh yeah, hello. And it's like, how are you? And I'm like, how are you? And it's kind of like where you're from. Then I'm like the USA, and it's kind of like okay, now which state are you from? And then I'm like, okay, Alabama, but that's kind of yellow. It's like, oh no, like which city are you from? Like which city are you from? And like where's your street address? And oh yeah, like I would also like your phone number too. Like here's my phone number. My phone number is kind of like blah 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 African area code. It's like 730 and blah 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 blah. And it's kind of like what makes you think that I am going to give you my phone number? I don't even know you. Blocked. And I don't go through this on Twitter. Like in Twitter, people act more normal, and on YouTube, people act more normal. But it's not Americans. It would be people from Africa or people in the Middle East. But Americans are cool about.
It's funny you say that because I was on a stream with Cognitive Thought and Sugar Tits not long ago, and Sugar Tits herself is she's part Filipino. I believe her mother is from the Philippines, and about 5 years ago, I worked with a guy that had a wife who was originally from the Philippines, and I had him on Facebook and whatever. And anyways, in this random stream that I was on with Sugar Tits, she started talking about how brazen some Filipino women will be when they see a white man out walking around, even if they are obviously with wife and kids. they will come up and try to flirt with you because basically, according to sugar tits, in the Philippines, the if you're a guy and if you're the wetter you are and the bigger you are, the more attractive you are to Filipino women. And the second she said that, I kind of had this little aha moment, and it kind of something clicked because all of a sudden, and this, well, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but gradually, over the last 5 years, I would have a random woman who would try to add me to Facebook, and I'm like, whatever, I don't know you, I'm not even interested in talking to you, goodbye. And it never even occurred to me that was it. And now, the more that I thought about it, the more I was thinking the majority of these women, at least the ones that I can even like vaguely remember, did appear to be Filipino, or I believe even some even said on their Facebook profile that they were from the Philippines. And I started putting two together, and I think they were coming from my friend Carrie, who married a woman from the Philippines. I think they were coming in. I think they were friends with uh, his wife, and got to his profile, and then from his profile found me, and was like, "Oh, there's a white man. I'll try to befriend him. Maybe he will marry me and want to bring me to Canada or whatever."
Yeah, it's kind of weird how race must be, especially like it's kind of strange on Facebook how you could get blocked instantly. Well, not blocked, but banned instantly from Facebook websites if you are conservative. Like Lauren Southern would get banned from for being conservative, or if you have a conservative point of view, like oh, I don't think this is so. Bam, you're blocked. But you could be some guy from Africa and you could just ask people for their phone numbers, or you could you could basically sexually harass people like give me your phone number, bitch, give me your phone number, tell me your street address, I want to know exactly where you live. And you will never get blocked from Facebook. Facebook would leave you alone. Sexual harassment, fine, but conservative opinion, any conservative opinion, banned from Facebook.
Yeah, I found those confessions from that former Facebook employee very troubling. I mean, that is social engineering to the nth degree, and I found that very concerning. I was deeply, deeply disturbed by that. Now we have no way of for sure because Mark Zuckerberg says, "Oh, we're not doing it." But I don't really trust someone who is the head of a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation to be 100% honest with me. Mark's never really had the best track record when it's come to honesty and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so I definitely did find that very alarming. Although at the same time, I can't really say that I'm surprised.
Yeah, I think it almost works to keep the self-fulfilling prophecy alive. Like somebody told me this, I'm not sure if it's true, but somebody said that if you were to harass a feminist on Twitter, like if you would say something like very harassing on Twitter, like show me your tits, or if you were to say something really abusive to a feminist on Twitter, you would not get blocked. Instead, they would just see screenshots. They're like, this is proof. But if you were to say things like rape culture doesn't exist, or like look at this statistics, then you'll get blocked. You won't get blocked if you actually harass them, but you would get blocked if you say this doesn't exist, or the people who deal with this sort of minority, that would get you blocked.
Yeah. Gosh, it's just absurd, really.
Yeah, it seems like they just they want there to be proof that so many men are terrible, even if they have to engineer it, like even if they have to block all the good men and just keep the bad men unblocked just to show proof, proof that men are bad, but they just need to engineer the proof.
Yeah, it's disgusting, really, and it also shows how incredibly weak your own position is. I mean, you have to essentially manufacture evidence to back up your claims. Now, I'm definitely not a conservative, but one thing that I have been paying attention to a lot more conservative news outlets in the past few months. And definitely one thing that I will give them credit for is, at least what I have noticed, is they don't manufacture evidence. Even some more moderate news outlets do not manufacture evidence. If you need to manufacture evidence, then your arguments are shit. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah, I think this is why there are so many perverts on Facebook, but you don't really see them anywhere else. Like if you jump onto YouTube, they are non-existent, or at least I've never experienced them. And I think it's because they want to keep it manufactured. They want to. If you are an anti-feminist, you'll get banned. If you're a Republican, you'll get banned. If you're a MGTOW, well, I'm not sure because they may use MGTOW as proof that men are horrible. They seem to want to ban the good men, but keep the bad ones to to make the feminist arguments more valid, to keep the hatred of mankind.
I definitely think a lot of MGTOW need to take off their tinfoil hats. Although I do say that, and they need to take off their tinfoil hats, but I will say that they do that some of their concerns are legitimate, but some of them are just frigging crazy. They're just insane.
Not sure, but on Facebook, MGTOW, they're the guys that treat me the best, like, I mean, sure, they're still crazy, but still, when I'm on Facebook, the MGTOW guys are the ones who are actually treating me the best. I mean, they're not nice to me. I'm not saying that they're nice to me, except like one or two people, but at least they're not demanding me to give me, demanding me to give them my phone number, or demanding me to give them my street address.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. That's just absurd.
Yeah, this is that's the reason why I think that the perfect solution would be if somebody in the anti-feminist community, or it doesn't have to be the anti-feminist community particular. It could be the people from the rights who are tired of being censored. I do think it would be time for the people who have the skills to just create a new website, and we could just all move to this new website.
I mean, there definitely have been attempts to get to roll out new social networks, but they're so hard to get off the ground now that Facebook is such a dominating force these days. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they just completely dominate the market.
I'm
And
not
these
I'm not
no go
sure how true that is. When Sargon did a video on Twitter, it seems to be plummeting, and it seems like many people are leaving Twitter. And when it comes to Facebook, I've gone to certain private groups, and there are many complaints about it. So again, I'm not really sure if it's really all that popular. If there are so many people complaining about it, I mean, I just think that people I just think that we should just try to have a new website, but it's not going to be successful unless a person like Sargon or the Amazing ABS will be like, oh yeah, this is the new website I found, or this is the new website I'm in. Because if you just have the website and nobody knows about it, then nobody's going to go there because they just don't know it exists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and well, I
But
mean,
if it,
developing a website, um, even like a cheap knockoff of Twitter or Facebook. Well, maybe not so much Twitter, but definitely Facebook. Um, you know, the actual making of the site may not be so hard. Even just to get like a basic social network up and running. Um, another problem is the infrastructure required. I mean, to host like a cheap blog doesn't cost that much, but to host something as complex and as resource intensive as a social networking site, the prices there go up dramatically.
Yeah, that's the reason why I say. I mean, if you just try to create a website and nobody knows it exists, then it's going to fail because nobody even knows it exists. You would need a person like Sargon or the Amazing Atheist or a person with a lot of subscribers to bring attention to it so that their fans sort of flood to it. That's the way it would keep your websites alive because people would go there just to talk to Sargon. And of course, if people go there to talk to Sargon, um, of course, then there would be enough people to keep the website alive, especially since I'm all, I'm also sure that conservatives are really tired of being censored, or conservative news outlets are tired of being censored and tired of being viewed as a racist or the enemy. So I'm pretty sure that, you know, many conservatives would like to stop being censored. And I'm pretty sure that several countless people are just getting tired of being censored. Like, did you know that the Justicar, he got blocked from Twitter just for telling a joke?
Who?
The Justicar.
I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, you never heard of him? Well, the Justicar got blocked from Twitter for 3 days just for telling a joke because um they were saying that his joke advocates for rape. And he was like, that doesn't even make any sense. And he showed everybody screenshots of the joke he told.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised. Although I will say that I am surprised I haven't gotten blocked from Twitter yet.
Mm.
Um, I've said some pretty crazy things, especially within the last few months. Just shit posting, and again, I am surprised that I have not gotten blocked.
Yeah, I've shit posted before, but people took my shit posting seriously. Like, me, I was doing a Gossip Costa parody, and I was mimicking him and saying the crazy things that he says. Now my friends, they thought it was hilarious and they thought it was outright funny, but I just had, like, I don't know, like 10 people saying, talking about how racist I am, and it's kind of a lot like it's kind of like this person tells me that I'm antsy thinking and I'm antsy vocabulary, and I'm like, what the fuck?
You're anti what?
I'm antsy thinking and I'm antsy vocabulary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. So some of the shit that people come up with is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of like I never ever heard of the term anti vocabulary before, and I wonder if this person has been dropped in the head a lot as a child that they think that I am going to read that and feel so offended as opposed to thinking that this person is outright stupid because anti vocabulary is kind of like hello, I'm on Twitter. I tweet quite a bit, you know. I mean, sure, I retweet a bit. So it's kind of like it takes vocabulary to tweet. So I don't know what type of comeback is that, you know.
If you were anti vocabulary, you wouldn't even be on Twitter.
Exactly. If I'm anti vocabulary, why on earth would I be on Twitter? I would just watch TV all day or YouTube videos all day. You know, you would have to
No,
be
even that, you would still have to understand the vocabulary in order to use YouTube.
that's a good point. So I would actually have to, I would actually have to understand vocabulary to understand the words coming out of people's mouths. How could anybody be anti vocabulary? But it's because I said, uh huh. You know, like she was being like really stupid, and she's like, "You're anti thinking," and I'm like, "Uh huh." It's like, "See, you're anti vocabulary. That's what you are." So me saying led her to think that I'm anti vocabulary, and that is just stupid because the expression is actually in the dictionary. Because
Uh,
because expressions that we use like ouch, ew, mm-hmm, even expressions get placed in a dictionary because it's still used in day-to-day life, you know, or even like in Japan. Even in Japan, there are people who talk about conversation fillers like nandaka or something like that, where conversation fillers, you know, because that's going to be used from day to day because um, 90% of our communications is nonverbal, you know, because vocabulary in came came later. Like the human species was there, and vocabulary wasn't instantaneous, or our speech or whatever. It wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't, instantaneous. It took a while before we came up with language. It is centuries or millennials behind.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's start interrogating me.
Yeah, sorry. Let's see. How would you describe your personality?
Um, I've I've taken several personality tests. One in particular called I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's called the Jungian. I can't remember exactly, but there's everyone has four letters assigned to them, and basically, um, I'm horrible at explaining stuff. I come up with I typically always come up with a very introverted but very technically um, inclined mind. So I do try to I do try to absorb as much information as possible and reconsider my position on things. I try to remove emotional bias as much as possible when forming a conclusion. Now, that's not to say I don't inherently exclude my personal feelings on something. Um, but yeah, that's a very convoluted, I think, overview of my personality. I I basically try to be real with people as much as I can.
Okay, next question. Have you ever been a feminist?
You know, I was thinking of this not long ago, and I can't remember how old I was when I came to this conclusion, but I could tell you exactly where I was. I was on my mother's driveway, and I was talking with somebody. I don't know who it was, but um, I think it was. I can't remember who it was, and yeah, this would have been like around the year 2000 or something like that. And for some reason, we started talking about feminism, and we were just like friggin' teenagers. And the consensus that we both came to was that we both agree with the basic premise of feminism, which is meaning gender equality. Um, Me and her both agreed with that. I don't think you would find a lot of people on the face of the earth, or at least in the West, that wouldn't disagree with that. But in reality, they just went a little bit overboard. Um, and so we decided that, like, yeah, you know, we kind of like the idea of it, but in practice, it seems just more complicated and convoluted and just silly. They seem to be complaining about everything, and this was in around the year 2000. But you know, I didn't understand all the bullshit that's going on these back then, and I didn't understand the history of feminism nearly as much as I do today, or at least I like to think I do. And I also remember about 10 years ago, I remember seeing this news interview, and it stuck with me, and it they were interviewing these two women who said they were raped and whatever. They went to the Toronto Police Department to report it, and after the investigation, the Toronto PD came to the conclusion that they were making it up. And so they kept on saying, "Oh, women don't lie about rape. Women don't lie about rape." And this was 10 years ago. This was long before I even had considered or before I started learning as much about feminism as I have now. And I'm thinking that this just doesn't seem right. I mean, I think it would be great if women don't lie about rape, but I don't. This just doesn't seem right. Again, I didn't understand the. I didn't understand all the uh, bullshit, for lack of a better explanation, as to what was going on. But now I do. And the very funny thing about that interview is that I remembered it very clearly, and I remembered it because I was at my mother's house when I saw this interview. And I found that interview again about a year ago here on YouTube. I'm like, I remember this like it happened yesterday. Um, so yeah, I guess to answer your question, no, I never really have considered myself a feminist. I mean, if you define feminism as an advocate for gender equality, then yes, I would consider myself a feminist under that specific definition. Um, but again, there's very few people out there who call themselves feminists who are actually feminists.
Yeah, that would be Christina Hoff Summers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. People like her are few and far between.
Have you ever been in? Oh, wait. Let me look at the question again. Let's see. Would you describe yourself as an anti-feminist?
As what? Sorry, you cut out there for a moment.
Would you describe yourself as an anti-feminist?
Um, I guess I'm more just anti bullshit. I think that would be a better description of my personality.
Well, we're not talking about your personality anymore.
Um,
We're talking about your
or
position.
yeah, I guess I'm just more of an anti bullshit advocate more than anything. So yes, if you if I'm against these lunatics screaming to disrupt a news conference that someone's holding with a different opinion by covering their face in period blood, if that makes me an anti-feminist, if disagreeing with those idiots makes me an anti-feminist, then yes, I'm an anti-feminist.
Okay, next question is uh what's inspired you to start making anti-feminist YouTube videos?
Well, I've actually had several channels on YouTube, and the very earliest one, which um, has been lost, which was lost when Google and YouTube merged. Um, I started way back in 2005, and I never really took it seriously until about 2013, and I got right into it for a couple months and just kind of lost interest in it again. And then it was really Sargon of Akkad who his videos just started coming up in my feed, and I had no idea who he was. I'm like, but he has a show called This Week in Stupid, and I love laughing at stupid people. So that should be something that I like. So I start watching a few of his videos, and I'm like, oh, this guy makes a lot of sense, and that kind of I guess you could say reignited the fire for me to start making videos again. And I can definitely tell you that this time, um, I've definitely poured a lot more effort into making my videos than I ever had before.
Oh, you better watch out. So me and my friend got a huge fight. She kept saying that Sargon of Akkad is the cult leader, the con artist, and all that jazz.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well,
Yeah, and she sent me a video from Kevin Logan to prove that Sargon of Akkad is a cult leader, and I'm just brainwashed by him. And she gave me a link to his Rational Wiki page. And, when I tried to debunk Rational Wiki and just say it's like a tabloid, she's just telling me I'm denying reality. And I am just like I'm denying reality, I'm brainwashed, and, I just kind of said the
yeah. Well, I definitely would not call Sargon a scam artist because he once launched a Kickstarter to develop a video game, And actually, I found today that he said he's unable to complete the game and is issuing refunds to everybody.
He's not a Anita Sarkeesian fan.
No, he's definitely not a Neo Sarkeesian. Absolutely not.
Yeah, even feminists don't like Anita Sarkeesian. Like when I talk to different feminists, many feminists say that they hate Anita Sarkeesian. So it just seems to be one of those misconceptions. I think it's because of TED Talk, how many
I,
thousands of dollars she's given. But when I talk to feminists in Facebook and when I talk to feminists here and there, they are like, we don't even like Anita Sarkeesian. Why does everybody think she's a leader? We hate her and we want nothing to do with her.
I can definitely understand why, because she's so dishonest. Especially with that Hitman game that she came out with, or um, a video she made where she reviewed this scene in a game called Hitman, um, where when she played the game, she went into this. She's playing a hitman. You're going supposed to break into a strip club and kill somebody. And in this specific, in this game, well, when she played it or whoever played it, um, she took her character into the dressing room of some of the strippers and killed them and put them and dragged them around on the floor and then um, put them in a box. And she was like, "Look, he's like forced to drag around these strippers like they're an object." But the thing she totally missed is that you're not supposed to kill the strippers. You actually lose points if you kill the strippers. You're supposed to listen to the strippers because they give you information to complete that task. So she's definitely someone who is extremely dishonest.
Yeah, what I get from feminists mostly is that's not real feminism, or that's not real feminism, or it's kind of like, well, we hate all those people, so they aren't true feminists. I get the no true Scotsman fallacy a lot, like Lacey Green. She's not a real feminist. She's not a true feminist. Francesca Ramsey from MTV Decoded, not a true feminist, not a real feminist. Anita Sarkeesian, she's a con artist and manipulator. She's not actually a real feminist. Well, they may actually have a point with Anita Sarkeesian, but I just mostly get the no true Scotsman fallacy. Anybody they don't like is not a true feminist and not a real feminist.
I definitely would also call Lacey Green a scam artist, although her scamming is definitely much more insidious. She charges these outrageous speaking fees to speak at these universities about consent and sex and blah blah blah. But she doesn't. Someone I saw this one YouTube video where someone walked up to her and asked, "What do you know about the Rotherham rape incidents of all these women who were basically being continually sexually abused and held, I believe, held captive, by these Muslim migrants?" And she was like, "I don't know anything about that." Now, it's possible that she legitimately did not know anything about that. But if consent is one of the big subjects that she built her YouTube channel around, she definitely doesn't follow the news when it comes to a rape case and such, or if she does it very selectively. It's not rape when a Muslim does it. Oh, of course not. Fuck off, woman. I
Um, I,
just,
I didn't know
I'm.
this. I didn't know this at all. So Lacey Green charges outrageous speaking fees for universities.
Oh yeah, there's. Let me see.
And it's weird because she doesn't even know what she's talking about. She even admits that people laugh at her.
Yeah, and again, she's taking that out of context because even the most fucked up, deranged. Well, maybe I shouldn't quite say that, but um, I have a hard time. People are laughing, believing her claim that people are laughing at her when she's talking about the concept of consent. What I would believe is people are laughing at her at the idea of consent agreements, of signing consent forms.
Yeah, because I mean, most people give consent. By consent, to mean nonverbal consent.
Yeah, I mean, like, for fuck's sakes, like, who the hell wants to sign a contract before you're about to jump each other, for God's sakes?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Um,
Uh, I was trying to look up Lacey Green's speaking fees. $15,000.
Phew, that's lots. Um,
Man, if I could, make $15,000 rambling on bullshit 4 or 5 times a year, I think I'd be doing pretty good for myself.
yeah. Um, are you in MRA?
No, no, I would not. I definitely would not identify as an MRA. I actually have a hard time accepting very many labels. Although what I will say is that I definitely do believe that the issues that MRAs are concerned about and bring up are definitely much more valid than issues modern feminists bring up. I will say that. If I had to choose if I'm a feminist or MRA, I would probably say MRA. But just a function of my personality, I just naturally want to reject all labels on me.
Have in any points of your life, have you ever considered yourself MGTOW?
No, no. Um, I never even heard of that term until very recently. And I definitely understand why some guys would go their own way. I definitely do understand that. But I definitely would not consider myself one. I love women a little bit too much. So I feel as though I'm perpetually disqualified from ever being considered a MGTOW.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the way they describe women, it's like women are cocaine. But you're
Yeah.
just addicted to the pussy. And me, I'm a real man because I'm a red pillar. I'm not addicted to the pussy. You're addicted to the
Oh,
pussy.
don't even get me started on those freaking lunatic red pillars.
Yeah, you just need to take a red pill and understand that women are innate manipulator. We're just after resources.
But I definitely will say, like, I have seen um, personal friends of mine um, get totally screwed over um, with a girl that they have gotten pregnant. Get screwed over to the nth degree. And I even know a couple of friends who unfortunately have committed suicide. I know one for sure. One of my, a guy I went to college with. I don't again. I don't know 100% sure if he killed himself or not. I didn't find out until a year after he had he had passed. But looking through his obituary, it was all very vague. and so he passed away suddenly, and that was pretty much it. Um, but I do remember hanging out with him in college, and he went on about how unhappy he was, and he wanted to stay for his daughter, but he was also very unhappy in the relationship that he was in. And the last time I saw him, he said that him he had since had another child with the same woman, and they had bought a house together. And I had never met the girl, so I can't really say for sure. Like maybe I, it's definitely possible that he was totally misrepresenting what was going on. Blah blah blah. Um, but I just have an intuition that that wasn't the case. And some another guy that I know, he actually used to date a roommate of mine, and I asked her because he was actually younger than me when he was about 2 years younger than me. So I asked her. Actually, those two were engaged, but had split up, and I don't know what his relationship status was. I asked her if she knew what happened to Bruce, and she said, "I don't know." And then I asked someone else who I knew for sure who would know, and she said yes, but she wouldn't tell me what happened to him. So I suspect that he may have uh, uh, committed suicide himself. Now, again, these guys could have been killed in car accidents, um, for all I know. I will admit that I am making an assumption here on what happened to these two guys. The first guy, I would I am confident that's what happened to him. The second guy, not 100% sure, but it definitely sounds like he may have taken his own life as well.
It would be in obituary.com. If you know his first and last name, it would be on obituary.com.
Already looked him up. Didn't say anything.
Oh, if he's not dead?
I've looked up their obituaries, and they just said that they had passed away. It was very vague, and there weren't any details given about their deaths, either one of them.
Oh, so you did check obituary.com and it was just said this person passed away and
I checked obituaries, I checked newspapers, I checked. Um, I even asked in the case of Bruce, I even asked two people. One of them didn't know, the other one wouldn't tell me.
it's still speculation.
Yeah, it is, and I definitely would consider that I could be wrong, very well.
Yeah, because I mean, usually obituaries, usually it would say, like when Robin Williams died, it said that he died through strangulation. Like I think he tied a noose around his neck and jumped to his death.
Yeah, but everyone knew. See, Robin Williams was a celebrity. Nobody knew the two guys I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of a lot like I would think that an obituary or a newspaper would say this person committed suicide, even if they're not a celebrity. I was
Maybe.
would say.
I've noticed in Canada they've when I've been in Canada versus spending time in the U.S. especially when it comes to deaths, they seem to kind of intentionally just leave some sub subjects alone.
Oh, you're Canadian.
Yes, I
I
am.
didn't. Oh, for me, I live in the USA.
I remember.
That's probably why, because it's kind of like usually when somebody dies in the USA, we would know the details. Like my sister's boyfriend, I mean, my sister's dead too, but my sister boyfriend, he died like 3 years before she did. And like the police told us that it's most likely his cousin did it. And the reason why his cousin did it is because his cousin is in a gang, and it most likely has to do with his cousin demanding him money for drugs. He refused to give him money for drugs.
Yeah, Canadian media tends to be a lot more accepting of the desire for privacy in situations like that. Like they will publish an obituary saying this person has died, and give a blurb about their lives, but um, very rarely will it give a cause to the death.
I would think that the parents would want to know, like parents and close friends. I do think that they would want to know.
Oh, they would know. They would know.
Oh, the parents would be allowed to know, but nobody else.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Parents, family members, um, definitely would be kept in the loop on that. And but they also tend to want to grant privacy. Um, just sometimes we just don't need to know everything. You know what I mean? Recently, one of my father's friends passed away, and I knew exactly why he died, and they didn't say anything about that.
I guess it's just a cultural thing.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, you live in Canada, right? Uh,
Yes.
do you consider Canada to be a very feminist country?
Well, do you know who our prime minister is?
Justin Trudeau.
Um, in terms of overall, though, I can definitely in the bigger cities like Toronto, um, there definitely does seem to be a much more, at least more vocal feminist community in those locations. Um, I live in a pretty rural part of Canada, though. So every now and then, something will crop up. Like um, a high school in the capital city of the province where I live a couple years ago had a bunch of had a feminist group form that made news headlines all over the region, and they were losing their shit because they weren't allowed to wear crop tops. One of the most absurd first world problems there is really. Would you rather a uniform? Believe me, I went to a private school. I know what it's like wearing a uniform. It really sucks. Um, so yeah, I don't think in general, but there definitely are pockets in and around the country. I'd say a lot of it's probably consolidated within Toronto and Vancouver. They tend to be the most liberal cities, but even that's not that not that loud, really. Um, but they do make headlines from time to time.
What feminist aspects do you see in your country that you'd like to see change?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What feminist aspects do you see in your country that you'd like to see change?
I'm sorry, one more time.
What feminist aspects do you see in your country that you'd like to see change?
What feminist? And then I'm sorry, I have a hard time catching that next word.
Aspects.
Oh, aspects. Um, that's that's kind of a hard question to answer. I think. Um, there is a bill in Parliament right now um, to change the wording of our national anthem to make it gender neutral. Um, Now, I don't think this bill is going to pass. It's going to pass Parliament, but I don't think it's going to pass the Senate. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Um, that's definitely an interesting question. Maybe it's because I live in a much more rural area and um, always grew up being a bit of a redneck and rough around the edges and just not. Um, I don't want to say not interested in politics because I definitely was, but just having an overall rougher attitude towards certain things in life um, has kind of maybe has perhaps given me some unintentional blinders. But I like for example the Gregory Allen Elliott case. That whole thing was insane, and there is definitely a lot of evidence of collusion and outright sheer favoritism towards Stephanie Guthrie and her posse. She calls, "Oh, we're women in Toronto politics." No, you're thugs in Toronto politics. That's what you are. That whole case went on much longer than it had to have. It should have just been thrown out. Um, so yeah, I guess that's more not so much in my area. I'm in New Brunswick, and that's more in Ontario. So I don't really know if that answers your question, but I think that's the best that I can do for you right now.
Is there anything you'd like your followers to know about you?
I don't know. I don't know. I just make YouTube videos, and people find me. That's all I do.
Well, that's it. Uh, goodbye, everyone.
So long.